Hey, honey.
Hey, yeah.
Anything exciting going on today?
Oh, awesome day. Awesome day on the Bitcoin market. You know, the altcoins got slaughtered. As they do periodically, they need to weed out the jokers, the Elon Musks, the Dave Portnoys of the world. You know, a few years ago, we had a whole other group of psychotic shitcoiners, and they got blown out by the 2017 crash. Their lot got blown out by the 2020 crash of early first quarter. And that's what shitcoiners are good for. They are cannon fodder. Doge obviously got slaughtered, down 50% from the Saturday Night Live Elon Musk high, as we predicted. It's really business as usual. Bitcoin, there's no difference in the base case to own Bitcoin. It's still unconfiscatable. It's still tick-tock, new block every 10 minutes. It's still separating state from money. It's still $1 trillion asset, back up around $1 trillion, heading to 10 trillion. It's still better than gold. So a lot of people look at this drawdown and they apply legacy financial thinking to it, like it is meaningful in some way outside of what we know to be true about Bitcoin. And of course, it's meaningless. I think we're going to hit a new all-time high for Bitcoin by June 4th, which is day one of the Miami conference staged by Bitcoin Magazine. They've got the agenda out. It looks exciting as fuck. Oops.
The thing I was really curious about was how Michael Saylor was going to deal with this, because he is obviously the Giga Chad, right, of the Bitcoin space, the superhero of the Bitcoin space. And what I was curious about was how he was going to handle his first Bitcoin style correction, right? And was he going to be like spinach hands like Elon Musk or Dave Portnoy, or was he going to have the diamond hands? Well, I'm going to read you his 3 tweets so far this morning during the whole crash. First, of course, you got to whip out the Nietzsche. Quote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." That is Friedrich Nietzsche on Bitcoin, he says. Then he tweeted, "I'm not selling," in response to documenting Bitcoin, asking, retweet if you're hodling Bitcoin. And then finally, Michael Saylor tweeted, "Entities I control have now acquired 111,000 Bitcoin, and I have not sold a single Satoshi. Bitcoin forever."
Yeah. Totally predictable behavior by Giga Chad. He's trying to accumulate as many Bitcoin as possible. The Nietzsche quote of, he's saying that if you have a why, it doesn't matter the what. So he's got a why. The why is why wake up in the morning? Why live? Why breathe? Why be on this earth? And the answer is to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. It doesn't matter how you do it. So if there's a crash and that's how you do it, then that's how you do it. But the why is certain. And the how is day to day, it changes.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is like, compared to previous crashes, the why and the how are so much easier now because of groups like Orange Pill Podcast Telegram group, t.me/Orange Pill, the online Bitcoin community. They really prepare you for this sort of stuff and walk you through it. There were a few panic attacks in our Orange Pill Podcast Telegram group, but by and large, the vast majority of people walked the panickers through it. Back in 2011, 2013, I posted a story from 2013 Los Angeles Times where they were basically, see, we told you so, like Bitcoin has crashed from $600 down to $200, and you imbeciles should have listened to us. Don't you feel like a jerk now? And
well, to continue on this why versus how theme and why, so let's apply that to the altcoins, Ether, Cardano, XRP, and various other altcoins. And the question is, can you apply the same why to any of these other coins? And the answer is no. None of them are decentralized to the extent that Bitcoin is. None of them separate state from money. None of them are any like gold, and none of them are anything like Bitcoin. So there is no why. You're out there floundering. Dave Portnoy, he went, as I predicted. I said this when he first got into Bitcoin. I was one of the very few people on Twitter to say, I predict that within a couple of days he'll be a shitcoiner. And within a couple of days he was a shitcoiner. And then he reluctantly kind of meekishly got back into it. And then he went back into shitcoin. Then he got into a hyper shitcoin with some flaky, nonsensical, I forget what it is. There's thousands and thousands of them, but he's trading down to the level of his own degeneracy. He's basically a degenerate. So you get what you deserve. If you buy Bitcoin for 10 years like us, that's what we deserve. If you're Dave Portnoy and you're a degenerate gambleaholic, kind of in denial about your shitcoinery, you get what you deserve.
Cathie Wood, of course, one of the most celebrated fund managers out there. She runs the ARK Investments,
yes,
a series of ETFs. And she was a very early advocate on Wall Street of Bitcoin and Tesla. So she was on Bloomberg News this morning, of course, because to report her thoughts on it was like 20-something% correction, let's call it, dip in Bitcoin. And she reiterated her call that she confirmed when she was asked by the Bloomberg host, like, do you still believe this is going to 500,000? And she confirmed, yes, we still reiterate this call. We believe this. And she addressed that whole energy FUD, because the energy FUD is about, China in particular. And she said that's bogus. And in fact, our data shows that 50% of mining out of China comes from renewable energy. And of course, right now they're shifting into the rainy season in the southern area of China, and they're moving all of the equipment down there in the next week, I guess. So we could possibly see a decline in the hash rate as they take all their miners offline from Inner Mongolia and move down to the south of China, southern China, for the hydroelectric, which of course is renewable.
Yeah, I know. I tweeted about the Cathie Wood, her appearance on Bloomberg. I said, look, she's got titanium balls, and she makes Elon Musk and Dave Portnoy look like cucks. And I use actually another phrase other than cucks. I said that they were degenerate cucks or something like that. But she's got this. She knows what she's doing. She's a professional. And these guys with the weak hands and the lettuce hands, they're just tourists and they don't know what they're doing. So yeah, it's fantastic. She's got her 500,000 price target. That would bring Bitcoin valuation up near similar to where gold is, which I think is an easy call. I think we'll get the $10 trillion easily on Bitcoin market valuation, and then from there, of course, we go much higher.
And people were pointing out, of course, markets do what markets do, right? They just move, and there's no real one explanation for anything but mass psychology. A lot of the on-chain data shows that the most volume is coming from new coins, people who just acquired them in the past 6 months, which at that sort of volume, it was mostly things like hedge funds and stuff like that. So there could be a few things. Of course, the taxes were just due on May 17th, so 2 days ago. On top of that, you have, tantalizing losses, right? Like hedge funds and Wall Street and corporations love tax losses. Those are like delicious, especially with something like Bitcoin, where it's considered by the IRS as property. So you could sell it and then buy it back a second later. So that is, you don't have to wait 30 days like you would with a stock in order to capture those losses. So, I mean, there's like a whole number of things. A lot of people are blaming Peter McCormick and the town of the city of the little town of Bedford in England because he provoked Elon Musk to say like he was going to ditch his Bitcoin for Dogecoin. And it's just being reported, by the way, in the comments in the live chat that Portnoy just said that he's just dumped his Dogecoin and he's bought Bitcoin instead.
Right, you get the price you deserve, and this is the thing about Bitcoin. So we've seen this play out at least 15 times over the past 10 years. So Bitcoin, because of the unit bias, and Bitcoin's at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $60,000 a coin, people think they're going to get into the next Bitcoin because it's only a penny, or it's only 10 cents, or it's only $1. And so they start to go into the altcoins, into the shitcoins. And then, of course, there's no reason to own those shitcoins because there's no justification for their existence. They're just there to steal your Bitcoin. Then you have a sell-off, as you do in any market, and the shitcoins get obliterated. And people like Dave Portnoy, who went into this without doing any research, without doing any due diligence, unlike Michael Saylor, who spent 10,000 hours of due diligence and is GigaChad as the result of it. Dave Portnoy stumbles in, along with Elon Musk. He's never studied Bitcoin for more than 5 minutes because he never has said anything to indicate he's ever done any due diligence on this whatsoever, which is problematic if you're CEO of a public company that put it on its balance sheet. I mean, that is a whole nother issue to discuss, whether or not that opens up some kind of liability issues. But nevertheless, so Dave Portnoy is now out of Doge into Bitcoin, you know. So this is all the ebb and flow, as you know. We've seen this dozens of times over the years, and we'll see it again. So, but the important thing to remember is that Bitcoin is going to hit a new all-time high by June 4th. It's going to hit my $220,000 target by the end of 2021, and it's headed to parity with gold at the $500,000 range, and heading much higher because fiat money sucks. Fiat money's collapsing. Central banks are collapsing. Nation states are collapsing. It's unconfiscatable. It's censorship proof. It's better than gold. It's Bitcoin.
I think that's my symbol for spinach hands.
I thought you were masturbating.
No, yeah, that was when you mentioned Dave Portnoy.
Oh, right. He was masturbating.
Yeah, like, who cares about him? What? Of course, like, Market Watch does, and there are headlines about him being pushed in there. But so those shitcoins, though, that's quite important. I mean, this is a problem, right? That all these, like, the horrible coins, like, just outright scams in most cases, these new ones being created, is that there were, just this morning, over coffee, I mentioned to you that there were over 100 that were worth more than $1 billion. That's last year at this time, there were about 17. And I was saying to Max, like, oh, the problem is we need to get rid of those. You know, we need to be like under 5 worth over $1 billion before we can really have a true bull market. And then, of course, it's like, it was over 100. It was 100 this morning. So, and that's already after a long correction. So, now, then it went down to 71 just about 2 hours ago at the very, very bottom. And now it's back at 90, worth over $1 billion. So that's way too many, because it's just like, that's totally pointless, right?